Hello everybody. I'm in Lymington. I'm on the way to Lymington. I'm in the New Forest. It's like a regular forest, but you know, newer. So I'm heading finally to Lymington. Bike's going back for a clean, back to the island. So I thought I would firstly say hello. Secondly, not been around for a while because I've had friends over and dad's stuff and all manner of good things. So just been really busy. So time to start throwing the videos out again. And I wanted to respond to a couple of comments I've had on Instagram, Facebook and the channel about my audio setup and how I get it clear. So last week I went out for a ride with a buddy and we did some comparisons because we've got two pretty different setups, and I'll talk to you about those in a minute. But interestingly, the setup that he bought is the setup that I was thinking about buying, so I can give you my thoughts on that a little bit later. Wobbly box ahead, brilliant. So let me talk about my setup now. I've alluded to this in previous videos before. I run a GoPro Hero 4, that's you there, and connected to that is a Sena GP10 Bluetooth backpack. That then runs into my Sena 20s, sported fashionably on the left side of my helmet. And then the audio gets to the camera, recorded to the camera via Bluetooth. So I speak in my helmet comms and it comes out in the camera. And that works pretty well for me. A couple of things I had to do. I mentioned firmware. So the newest version of Sena firmware for the 20s, you do get some snap, crackle and pop. Version 1.6.2 seems to deal with that quite happily. The other thing I should mention is on the back of the Sena Bluetooth backpack, the GP10, there are two buttons. One of them is a power button, self-explanatory, on and off. The other button is a mic button, on and off. Now, because I am a modern man, I don't read instruction manuals, I picked it up, connected it up and turned them both on at the same time. And what I found I got was a very, very slight delay on audio, like an echo on the GoPro. Because whereas I thought the mic button was mic on or off on the GoPro, well, it kind of is. So it allows you to have the mic on the GoPro picking up audio as well as the mic on the Sena. So you get two streams of audio, which isn't ideal for talking. So the setup I run is power on the GP10. However, mic button, I just leave that off. The audio, other than that, comes through pretty clear. It's a bit about mic positioning, obviously. I want to get that right. I'm just looking at mine now. Probably should have led with that. But other than that, that's it. So the audio you hear in my videos is fairly unprocessed. I don't do anything to it in editing software. Seems to come out quite nicely. Now, there is a downside to it, in my opinion, in that sometimes the audio for the vocals is too good. So you don't get a lot of the bike. And you don't get a lot of ambient sound. So I'm looking into options and solutions. And again, it's probably going to come down to mic positioning. I want to keep it out of the wind, but I want to try and pick up some of these bike noises. So we'll see how that works out. The other cameras I'm running, I've got you over there, which is GoPro Hero, I think they call it a GoPro Hero 2018. And that's great for that kind of stuff. I did initially have it up here, but you can't put a backpack on it. GoPro seems to have stopped integrating with third-party devices. You've got to run a microphone into the actual side of the unit itself, which is ridiculous. You then have to leave a side door open, which means you're then open to the elements. And I've seen people stuff it full of blue tack and everything else, but it's just not elegant, I don't think. You know, I want a solution I can pick up, plug in and go. I don't want to be messing around with bits of mic and non-waterproof cases, you know. It's live in England, for crying out loud. It's going to rain. So that leads me on to the other setup that I was initially thinking about buying, which was going all Sena. So Sena do the Sena 10c, which is a bit like the 20s with a camera. Bolts to the side of your helmet, and then records audio, visual, all on the same SD card. No messing around with extra Bluetooth devices or, you know, charging this camera, that camera and whatever. It's just one unit. So initially this seemed to be like a good idea. I ended up going with a GoPro because I already had a 20s, and frankly money doesn't grow on trees, so I'm then not going to go and buy a 10c because they're not cheap either. So it was kind of making the best of what I had, and I'll say now, I'm really happy with my setup. I like it. It does what I want it to do, so I'm content. But I'm glad that I met up with my friend Adi because he's got the 10c, so I was able to see kind of if I made the right choice, and I'll lead you on to that in a bit. So I've got a series of clips from the videos that we took that day. 3 videos. Well, it was one video, but I've cut 3 bits out to make 3 different points. So we both recorded. We were also connected via intercom. And we got some interesting results for that. So I wanted to do 3 cases in point, really. 2 of them are worthwhile, and I think the last one sums everything up. So the first scenario I wanted to show you was my setup with intercom from AD, videoing from my camera. Now this is where it will get slightly confusing, is we swapped helmets. Keep it clean. We swapped helmets. He's got this Nishua carbon helmet. He's been talking about it for ages. I wanted to give it a go. He wanted to try my Shark carbon. So we did that. I don't think he was that impressed with this helmet. It's quite noisy. I didn't realise how noisy it was until I put his on. First video clip you'll see is my camera setup, so the GoPro setup, recording from his bike, which also happens to be an FJR, but it's a blue one.
So I think we go back the way we came to the next roundabout and then we turn left.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe.
You know, let's do this roundabout again, shall we?
It's such an amazing piece of roundabout architecture.
Come on. There we go.
Did you know you have a brake light out?
I did not.
You've got 2 tail lights are working, but your right hand brake light doesn't work. And I normally have a spare bulb. So that was the first clip. GoPro setup, Sena 20s. And I like the view. I like the centre view, but you'll hear that the crackle is pretty bad on the intercom there. And we're still not quite sure what caused that. The closer we were, the worse it was. So whether it was because the Sena units were also connected to phone, maybe I was carrying a radioactive isotope on me.
Do you have a radioactive isotope upon you?
Don't know, but something to bear in mind. The next clip is me wearing the Sena 10c with the camera. So this is everything built in. Bye-bye. love that about these bikes, that you could have done that in fifth.
I was in fifth.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's a lot more violent in a lower gear.
Yeah.
Ironically, I could have done it in first as well, couldn't I?
Yeah. So the Sena 10c there for you. I liked it a little bit, but there were a few surprises. So I don't think the quality of video, even though it was recording in 1080p 60 frames per second, was as good as the GoPro. But now bearing in mind the GoPro is a camera, the Sena 10c is a camera slash Bluetooth headset slash intercom. So I think it would make a great sort of dash cam, but I was less keen on that. The other thing I noticed, and I only really clocked onto this when I was trying to use multicam in Adobe Premiere Pro to bring in some of the footage, and I had some issues with the audio. The Sena 10c was recording its audio in mono. Not sure why you want to do that. Now, he said that he hadn't changed anything, so that was the default setting. So that was quite interesting. I don't know if you could change that to record in stereo, but there you go. You know, the feature of that unit, perhaps. Don't know. I'll have to look into it. So the third clip is really a combination of the two. So I took 1 minute's worth of footage out of that ride, and I spliced my camera with my audio, with his camera and his audio, and this should give you an appreciation of a direct comparison.
A fizz fest.
Sorry?
There's a fizz fest over there. Do you not see the bloody great big sign?
No, missed it. I was I was asleep. What was I meant to be looking at?
Just the word fizz fest in like 6 metre long panels, words. Totally unmissable.
Not totally.
Giant, 10-foot white words that together spelled a fizz fest.
A fizz fest?
Yes.
As in like gym?
Well, I'm assuming as in like fizzy pop, yeah.
Oh, fizz as in with a F?
Yes. Yeah, no, not with it, not fizz with a G, no.
I think you meant fizz like a, PE.
No?
As in physical education, you used to call it fizz, that kind of fizz.
Oh, right.
Gym fest. I feel we've spent too long on this subject. Which ultimately means I missed the sign.
Well, I looked at it, so hopefully, yeah, what I look at, your camera will be recording.
So I guess what's next is my thoughts on both of the setups. Bearing in mind that the GoPro setup I bought because I already had a 20s. Had I not had anything, I'd have gone for that 10c. And in short, I'm glad I've got the setup I've got. I think the GoPro position is better. Now that's by the by, I guess, because you can mount the GoPro wherever you like. But I like the center chin mount view. It gives you a bit of panoramic. You've got good field of view either side, and there's no helmet taking up some of that screen. Each to their own. We all do it differently. That's what I like on mine. So for that reason alone, I'd have gone for this mount setup anyway. Having seen the quality, that's really affirmed my decision. So I was disappointed with the Sena 10c's video quality. Now again, it's almost a completely uneducated point of view, because I didn't set the tenor lady? No, I didn't set the Sena 10c up. 80 did that already, and I'm not even sure he did much to it other than bolt it to his helmet and turn it on. The audio I found was probably the same. I mean, it's using the same technology for the most part, except there's no Bluetooth link in between the Sena 10c But the whole crackling issue was interesting, and again, I don't know whether that was we were connected to Bluetooth at the same time, but generally, you know, you could make you could capture the whole conversation and footage using a pair of Senas and a pair of cameras over the intercom, and I was really impressed with that. I wasn't sure what I was expecting, but I didn't expect it just to record the audio, and I know that interference was there. There might be a firmware issue, could be a number of things. I've just not looked into it, but I have to say that surprised me. I thought that was a bit of a bonus feature. So that's what I got. I'm not saying, you know, buy one or buy the other. I guess it's very much what you want to achieve. I'm new to vlogging, but I'm in the fortunate position where I had some gear already, and you know, I've added to it, so it's not been a massive outlay all in one go. But I'd have to say the GoPro Sena GP10 backpack and Sena 20s, and there are other Sena intercoms which would probably work just as well. That's the setup that works for me, and I'm very happy with it. So anyway, I hope some of you find that useful. Again, it was in response to a number of questions I've had. Always happy to take requests, as it were. But you know, I've got this set up because I watched other people's videos. I'm hoping that this will be able to help someone else out who's just starting or has been doing it for a while and wants to change their setup to something different. So there we are. If you've got any questions, pop them in the comments below. So yeah, find me on Facebook, find me on Twitter, find me on Instagram. All the links to those are on my channel page, and don't forget to drop me a big old subscribe, always appreciated. But yeah, have a great week, guys. Toodaloo.